So this evening's discussion is on 72-hour kits. Is 72 hours enough? Well, I went through, like I did with the other kind of things, I tried to find out what is the history of a 72-hour kit. Who came up with the first 72-hour kit? And I guess you can probably say it's, you know, we can go way back to, anybody, the nomads who were moving along the sands, but who came up with the 72-hour kit? Well, the short answer is, I have no idea where it came from. I looked and looked to try to figure out where the emphasis on people having a kit that make them prepared and that they should be able to prepare themselves 72 hours. I could not find out who came up with the 72-hour notion, other than it sounds like a really good idea. I do have a little bit of idea, though, that I know that when they put food and supplies into life rafts on ships, I worked on a cruise ship for a while, they put food and water in for the estimated number of people for 3 days. So I don't know if that's where the survival for 3 days or a 72-hour kit came from. But I'm going to kind of expand it a little beyond a 72-hour kit and talk about some other ranges. What basically is a 72-hour kit? It's an ensemble of tools and supplies needed to sustain life, minimize suffering, maintain dignity and independence, and facilitate appropriate actions in an emergency requiring evacuation. Somebody wrote that down. I thought that was a really great way to really rephrase how it is. What do you need to sustain life for 72 hours? That's simple. Water. About 12 ounces a day. That's what you need to sustain life for 72 hours. That's it. Thank you very much. Lesson over. Not really. That being said, that's all you need, really. I mean, literally, 2 or 3 of these is all you need to sustain your life for 3 days. You'll be miserable, you'll be hungry, wet, cold, tired, whatever, but you'll be alive. So we want to obviously go a little beyond that. Okay? So the question is, why do I need one? Where should I have one? And what should I have in one? Why do you need one? How many of you drive your car and don't wear a seatbelt? Well, you all wear them because it's the law, right? We all wear seatbelts. Not because you get up in the morning, get in your car expecting that you're going to get in an accident. But you wear it because it's a convenience. In case you do have an accident, or an emergency, you are covered in that direction. Same reason why you would have a 72-hour kit. There are hundreds of reasons why you may use your kit, and none of them have to do with a natural disaster. I've had a 72-hour kit in my car for as long as I can remember. I've never used it in a disaster, in an earthquake, in a tsunami, in a hurricane, in a fire. I've never, ever used one in that instance. Never. But I've used it in hundreds, maybe hundreds, dozens of personal emergencies. Let me give you a couple of examples. We happen to be at the Salt Lake Cemetery, oddly enough, in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we're visiting and looking at some of the historical grave sites there. I was with my mother and my father, and I think it was just the 4 of us. Somewhere in the middle of that, my father decides that he really has the need to go to the bathroom. Fortunately, they've actually constructed a brand new bathroom there in the facilities. So my father jumped out of the car, ran out, went into the facilities. He comes back out and says, "There's no toilet paper." I went, "Aha! I have toilet paper." I reached in, got in the 72-hour kit, pulled out an emergency roll of toilet paper, handed it to him. He took it in, he started bringing it back. I said, "No, Dad, I don't want it. Just leave it there, that's fine." Out a camping trip, a pseudo-camping trip with my family, left all of the good stuff, at the camping. We're off visiting some site. My son runs down and skins his knee, peeled a good 1/4 inch off of about 3 inches off of his knee. I mean, peeled it like a potato peeler. Man, and it was out in Death Valley, so water is not really prevalent around Death Valley, obviously. And so, as we're cleaning up the wound, trying to do the first aid kit, I got sterilized water, whipped out one of the foil bags, club with the corner, used that to clean off his wound, clean up my hands, clean everything else after it. I also have, on at least 3 occasions, had a blowout of my car, had to change a tire. After I'm done with that, my hands are filthy, right? Cleaning a tire. I've used the handy wipes that were in there and the water to clean my hands off afterwards. Okay? Those are just 3 or 4 examples of how I've used my 72-hour kit, or my disaster kit, or whatever you want to call it, in non-quote disaster scenarios. A city in Colorado right now that suddenly all their water was contaminated with salmonella. Did you hear about that? And they shut off the city water supply. No announcement, no nothing. They shut it off. And now they're flushing it with chlorine so that people are not going to be able to use water for 3 or 4 days. I mean, so it doesn't take a natural disaster. It could be just about anything. So a 72-hour kit by any other name. They come by other names, you know. Usually in the church, that's what we refer to them as a 72-hour kit, but they're also called a bug-out bag. Have you heard that expression before? Yeah, you have to bug out of your house. You're going to take a bug-out bag. Also a 24-hour, or 72-hour kit. One of my favorite ones is also called a goodie bag. A G-O-O-D, a get out of Dodge bag, a goodie bag. So what do you put in a 72-hour kit, or a goodie bag, or a bug-out bag? Well, there's many different kits as there are reasons to have them. Consider this. You may have a need at work that is far different from the needs of home. So the kind of kit you would store in your car is far different from the kind of kit you would store in your home. Because if you're in your home, you're certainly not going to have to walk a mile or anywhere else, but you might have to if you're in your car. That's why in one of the ones I carry in my car, I have an old pair of tennis shoes. Actually, these are a fairly new pair of tennis shoes, but somebody gave them to me and I thought they were kind of ugly, so I just put them in my bag and I have an extra pair of socks stuffed in there as well. So I have an extra pair of shoes because I don't necessarily, especially, you know, if you happen to be a female and you're working in an office and you're wearing high heels, do you really want to walk some appreciable distance in high heels? Some of the other needs you might need at work are an area map. It's entirely possible that during a disaster you won't be able to get home the way you normally would get home. And oftentimes we just get used to driving to and from work the very same routes and don't think about other route possibilities. But if for some reason, because of inclement weather, because of riots, because of earthquakes, roads broken up, those kind of things, you might not be able to go your normal route. And so you can certainly drive around aimlessly trying to figure out the best route to get home. But if you had an area map, you could certainly open that map up and say, okay, this is where I am, and this is where I want to go. Just a plug for next month's meeting, that's what we're going to cover kind of in depth. If you're leaving, how to evacuate, where are you going to go? How are you going to go there? There are lots of things to consider. And so we're going to talk about that next time. We're going to talk about maps and things to look at on a map. So what kind of things do you need to have in your bug-out bag or your 72-hour kit at home? Well, you probably need medicines. If you have a medicine, some kind of medicine that you are required to take, and you need to have a supply of. And if you needed to leave your house and you needed to have those medicines immediately available to you, you would need to have those kind of supply of medicines. How about computer backup disks? Let's say you have to leave your home and you have to leave there in a hurry, and you've got to take and leave your house maybe unprotected. You might not know when you're coming back. Do you really want to leave every one of the things that you hold precious and dear to you on your computer? Are you going to put your computer and grab your laptop or your hard case and go carrying that down?